what position do you think is of most desperation for the Lakers before that February 6th date comes up? I'm going to look at some of your comments, and then I do want to go over Lakers Nation, some of their point guard options to replace D'Angelo Russell. So we'll do that here in just a second. Let's take a look at some of your comments here real quick. Zach is good, but money is too much. Lakers would have to gut the roster to do this trade. Technically, I think the trade was Rui, Vando, Gabe Vincent, maybe Jalen Hood-Schifino, and then, of course, you're going to be giving up draft compensation after that. So with that in mind, and I think the money, I think what Zach LaVine, to me, what it meant that you're trying to compete for a championship this year and next year, and then after that, and you're also putting all your eggs in that basket. You're saying that, hey, with Zach LaVine, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves, and whatever pieces, Dorian Finney-Smith, whatever pieces you put around it, that's the squad to go compete for championship. I got to be honest with you, that's not a bad squad. That's a very interesting team. So I think there was a way to make it work. But I think if you're, the Chicago Bulls, what do you want in return? Do you want these contracts that have – I'm sure the D'Angelo Russell contract was of interest to them because it was expiring. I know Lonzo Ball is about to be on the market, or at least there's been some chatter about that. Are they just saying, hey, let's just 100% just completely rebuild? It doesn't really matter what we want. If you're going to make a deal and it's two teams making a deal, what the hell does the other team want? Obviously, that's going to be critical and important too. All right, let's see what else we got here. To be honestly, I'd rather have BI. I'm a fan of Brandon Ingram. If he's your third best player on your team, I'm a fan of BI. But who knows what they're going to end up doing as well. And I'm talking about the Pelicans. All right, let's see what else we got here. We need more backups to compete with a team like Boston. It's funny. There's certain teams that I don't even think about because we're so not on that level. Boston's one of those teams. We kind of got a couple opportunities to see the Lakers against some pretty good teams. 7-14. Remember, that's the stat after Lakers lost against Dallas. That's the only stat everybody read. 7-14 against teams above 500. So it's not even just Boston. There's a lot of different teams out there. Penetrating guards. So this is something that somebody's saying that is the biggest need for the Lakers. Penetrating guard, wing defender, then back up a big man. Yeah, for me, I would say a bruiser I think is most important, but equally important is probably that point guard position. Having a point guard that you can just kind of rely on and say, okay, well, we don't completely lose all our ball handling abilities and our chance to get into our offense once LeBron or Austin Reeves goes to the bench. A big man, if AD goes down, Lakers are cooked. I don't think you need a big man because AD goes down. I think if AD goes down, it's over anyways. I think you need a big man because the best that Anthony Davis, I think, has offered the Lakers is when he had other big men around him. All right, Northborough AES. Get Lonzo. Hit 5 threes last night, and his D is back to. That's what Lakers can afford. Lakers can't do buyouts. Big body you can get on a 10-day later. Yeah, okay. Let me take this. And Northborough, I appreciate you sharing your thoughts on this. That article I was talking about, Lakers Nation. Lonzo was on that list. I'm going to skip a couple. I'll just go to Lonzo first. Let me read to you what this article says. So, obviously, a very familiar name. Lonzo was drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers. We all know that. Lonzo's on an expiring contract, too. There's a couple guys. I know Malcolm Brogdon is on an expiring contract as well. I think Lonzo's owed $21.4 million. Okay, so how do you make that work? That's probably a Rui plus who did they have in here? Lakers would need to include both Gabe Vincent and Vanderbilt or throw in multiple filler contracts such as Jalen Hood-Schifino or Shake Milton or Jackson Hayes or Cam Reddish. So they threw out. Listen, I've said this before. I don't know if I'm one of the few people. I used to always, when Michael Thompson and I were doing a show together, we're doing the pregame show together. When I was doing the Laker broadcast, one of the things I think him and I always talked about is we both love Lonzo's game. I'll tell you why we love Lonzo's game. You don't see too many NBA players out there that are saying to themselves, let me tell you what I want to do. I want to get stops, and I also want to distribute the ball. I want to see if I could get 7, 8, 10 assists a game, and I want to play defense. There's not too many point guards or really any players in the NBA where they enjoy focusing on that side of the floor. The only problem with that is I just don't know how healthy this guy is. Now, granted, you really don't have much risk because he is in the final year of his contract. And when this year ends, if it doesn't work out, then you could just kind of part ways with Lonzo. I don't mind Lonzo. I know somebody here saying that he had 5 threes. We can look at some of his stats on the season, how many games he's played, and everything else. I have not paid too close attention to that. I'm a fan of the concept of Lonzo Ball. Like I said, just one of the issues is going to be how's he feeling, what's he look like game to game. All right, let me look at some of these past few games for Lonzo. Yes, last night he had 15 points at 5 threes. Night before that, he had 12 points. I like looking at his assists and his steals. Damn, still getting steals. Look, since January 1st, here's his games. 3 steals, 2 steals, 3 steals, 2 steals, 3 steals, and then had none yesterday against the Sacramento Kings, but that's damn impressive. Assists are down. 4 assists, 6 assists, 2 assists, 1, 6, 3. So that's down a little bit. And then points are always going to vary for Lonzo. If you're depending on Lonzo Ball for points, I wouldn't pay too close attention to that. Here are some of the other guards, so you guys know, that was mentioned in this article. Some of the other guards that was mentioned in this article, Colin Sexton, we've heard a lot about. So that one's not too big of a surprise. He's got $18 million left on his contract, and he's also around next year as well. So he's going to be around for not just this year, but next year, whatever trade package that would look like. By the way, he's only 26 years old. If you got Colin Sexton in a deal, that's a significant upgrade to have another guard. Here's a player that I think, players like this I'm a fan of, but it's probably trying to make it work. Malcolm Brogdon, but I know he also has got, he's had injury issues and everything else, but I'm a fan of his game. I am. I think he's just on an awful team, which is the Wizards. I think he could be, no question about it, help the Lakers out in some capacity, but there's another name that was mentioned. Then there's some names that I just don't think were realistic. Anthony Simons was mentioned. CJ McCollum was mentioned. I don't think either of those players, I don't think the Blazers are trading away Anthony Simons. And B, CJ McCollum, if he gets shopped, he should get shopped. I think that's a player that has some value in the NBA, and I think some teams out there would go for him. But if he does get shopped, I don't see the Pelicans doing a deal with the Lakers and trying to give up CJ McCollum to LA. All right, if you enjoyed this clip and you want more, just subscribe to the channel. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. is the Sliwa Show. And then after every Lakers game, post-game show right here.